Guests on Keel heard via the Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker hotline, a feller we have not spoken to in quite a while. It's Dr. Cade Brumley, now State Superintendent.
That sounds so cool.
Multisyllabic is difficult for me today. State Superintendent of Education. Dr. Cade, welcome back to Keel. How are you doing? Hope you're well.
Thanks for having me, Robert. I have to correct you though. Aaron and I have spoken. You were just out and about, not at work.
I'm a gallivanter, my friend. Sometimes I just can't be controlled.
Cade, Bessie voted yesterday on the standards for opening schools. What are the highlights that people really need to know about?
Yep. So state law from this session required Bessie to adopt minimum standards for schools to consider as they open and operate. And so that's what we met about yesterday, had a 5-hour meeting of conversation from passionate individuals. And ultimately, Bessie did vote unanimously to set some minimum standards for our schools.
So Bessie is
Which are what?
But Bessie is in this case, sort of the last word. Is that fair to say?
Well, it was a place that I don't know that the department nor Bessie wanted to be in terms of setting minimum health standards. It's not a role that they would normally play. So we really had to rely on experts out of the Department of Health, but also out of hospitals like Ochsner and Tulane and Children's to try and build some minimum standards and put those in place.
Okay, what is that going to include? What do the school folks need to know that you must do this if we're opening schools?
Yep. So that it really depends on the phase. So we balanced it out, and it looks a little different based on the phase that the state is in as assigned by the governor. So right now we're in phase 2, and in phase 2, for instance, some of the requirements include a maximum of 25 individuals in a room. In terms of a bus and transportation in phase 2, you have a 50% occupancy allowed on a school bus. Of course, with every phase, there are minimum hand washing, disinfecting, face coverings, all of these minimum requirements. And now school systems have to adopt, based on Bessie policies, they have to then adopt policies for the local system that comply. Local policies can certainly be more aggressive, but certainly can't be less.
Okay. Students have to wear face masks beginning at what age or grade?
Yep. So this is, and I realize this, Aaron, this is a very sensitive issue. People have their own personal feelings about this, and so do I. I can tell you I have been wearing my face covering more and more every day as I've had conversation with medical professionals. So the way we approach this, students who are in pre-K all the way through second grade, they may wear a face covering. They don't have to, but they may. The reason that we are not asking that they must is because we thought about two particular reasons. One, concerns about kids that young having a face covering, it causing them to touch their face, their mouth even more, trying to adjust that during the day or play with that. And the other thing is language development, with teachers teaching children how to say words with their lips, with their tongue, and it's just hard if that is covered. Students in grades 3 through 12 must wear a face covering to all extent possible within the local systems, and adults have to wear a face covering as well. And look, this is really an important issue, not just in terms of mitigating the spread of the virus, but it's a really important issue for our teachers. It's one of the things that our teachers have said over and over again to us. If we're going to go back into the workforce, if we're going to feel safe and secure, this is one of the minimum things that we think that needs to happen for us to go into the workforce. So, we need our teachers. They're essential workers right now, and we need to make sure they feel safe going into the workforce.
Dr. Cade, in terms of transportation, a couple of months ago when we first, maybe a little more recent than that, when we first started talking about school buses, et cetera, I had likened to putting a schedule for transportation for school kids together, I said it's got to be like a Rubik's Cube with wheels. Am I far off there? I don't think so.
No, it's an incredible organizational logistical lift to figure out how to route those buses, especially when you never have enough bus drivers. I can almost assure you in Caddo and Bossier right now, if you're a certified bus driver and you go to those school board offices and apply for a job, I'm going to guarantee you they give you a second look because we don't have enough bus drivers in the state.
Masks are required on buses in Caddo. Is that a part of the statewide mandate too?
The state mandate says inside the school facility, but I mean certainly it's probably a good idea on that bus as well.
Okay, high school sports.
Oh boy, here we go.
We saw the LHSAA stuff. You know, there's a lot of controversy surrounding that. What is, I don't want to say necessarily your position, but what are we looking at for this fall?
Well, I have been in contact with the executive director of the LHSAA, Mr. Eddie Bonine. I know that working alongside his executive committee, they're trying to put out, ideas and recommendations that make sense. You know, some of the conversations I've had with individuals have been on multiple sides of this. Some have said, you know, we work hard all day to keep 6 feet distance between kids, make sure their faces are covered, and then at 3 o'clock they just go beat each other up. You know, and then the other side says, look, this is a vital part of schooling. We need to make sure that we have athletics. So I think what's important is that Mr. Bonine and LHSA follow the science, follow to some degree the positions that the governor has outlined, that the department has outlined, but they are an independent organization that is led by school principals, and so they'll have to make very significant and important decisions as an organization.
Okay, we've had a little bit of a delay on the school start here in Caddo for 2 weeks till August 24th. And it looks like Caddo is moving forward with elementary kids going back to class with a hybrid plan for middle and high school. Is that something that's up to the individual parishes, the districts to decide? And what plan do you most support? What do you think is the best plan for parishes?
So to begin, individual parishes, local education agencies, they have the authority to set their own school calendar so long as they hit the 63,720 instructional minutes during the school year. So they have the ability to do that. I did have conversation with Mr. Gorey, or Dr. Gorey, around his idea to delay that. I think it's reasonable why he wants to do that. They are really working with their learning management system, which is their new online system, and recognizing that they'll have more students than ever before choosing the virtual option, because we've asked every district to do that. So that, you know, they wanted to have a little more time to work through that, and also hopefully some of the cases could go down as well.
One more thing, in our last minute. How are we going to hold the students accountable when in middle and high school here, you're going to class 2 days a week, the rest is virtual learning? What is the plan? You know, we've all admitted that, you know, we learned a lot in virtual learning in the spring, which means we didn't accomplish much. How are we going to hold them accountable? What's going to be the stick here?
I think first I would like to say that, you know, I think that approach of, if you only have limited space on a bus, if you have limited space in your classrooms, I think it probably is wise to bring in those elementary children, prioritize them first. High school students are more likely to be successful in an online format. So I think that approach is the right one if you have to prioritize. So that's good. You know, attendance laws and truancy laws, nothing changes. So one of the things we're asking systems to provide to us, what are your plans for tracking attendance, not just for staff, but for students as well? And so systems are going to have to be able to determine what amount of time students are spending on that computer and engaged every day. And I know that they're working through trying to make those determinations. But, you know, truancy is truancy, whether or not we're asking people to show up to a brick and mortar building or we're asking them to do work online. Truancy is truancy. And so attendance laws still matter.